best budget phone out this year.
CMF Phone 2 Pro. Search now on Flipkart.
Bangladesh's fate in Sri Lanka's hands. What a way to end the group of death. What a twist in the Nagin derby. It goes to the final game in Group B, Afghanistan against Sri Lanka, to decide which of these three sides proceed to the Super Fours. Let's build up to that contest on CMF by Nothing presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, where we're delighted to have the company of Parvez Maharouf. Parvez, quite the twist in the history of the Nagin derby. But if we look at both these sides, Afghanistan and Sri Lanka, both have had their batting troubles in their last games. There's obviously a lot more riding on it for Afghanistan, who will be knocked out with a defeat here. How do you expect things to pan out?
Good to join you, Yash. Yeah, it's going to be a massive game, especially for Afghanistan, for obvious reasons. They got to win to stay alive in the competition. Sri Lanka, on the other hand, they just have to win the game without, thinking too much. Just, go out there, 2 out of 2 at the moment, play their A game and win it. So the batting have, trouble, especially the Hong Kong game for Sri Lanka. The way they batted, some of the decisions was made. We spoke about in length. So that's a worry for sure. But on the other hand, Afghanistan is the same. I mean, whenever they are chasing down a score, we've seen in the past against good quality sides, they seem to somehow succumb while chasing down. So it was a good opportunity yesterday for the reasons purely because Bangladesh only played the 4 frontline bowlers. They had the all-rounders filling in for the 5th bowler. They could have easily targeted them. So in all, going into this game, I'm pretty sure that Afghanistan under pressure more than Sri Lanka. But Sri Lanka, they just have to avoid a massive defeat. That's it.
Yes, for Sri Lanka, it is all about avoiding a massive defeat. It is only if they lose by 65 or more runs, chasing a score around the range of 150, that their net run rate will fall below Bangladesh's. In that case, Afghanistan and Bangladesh go through. But a Sri Lanka win or a defeat which is of a lesser margin means Sri Lanka will find their way in the Super Fours. What would the conversation be in the Sri Lankan batting group, though? They are, of course, likely to qualify, but they will need a lot of improvement going into the Super Fours.
I mean, the real test will be against the Afghan bowling lineup. The 3 spinners, they've been wonderful, or maybe 4 spinners with Nabi, Rashid, Gazamfar and Noor Ahmed, as well as Fazal Farooqi was excellent in the yesterday's game. Omar Zai. So that is one of the best going around in the world cricket. So the Sri Lankan top order batters will have their work cut out. And looking at how the Abu Dhabi pitch has behaved, generally it has been really good for batting. So I think when it comes to playing these kind of bowling attacks, just give a little time as a batter. Spend about 5 minutes facing 4 or 5 deliveries. You can always catch up later on. But initially, getting used to the conditions against a top quality bowling lineup is going to be important. And hopefully, the players who are yet to contribute in a big way for Sri Lanka, players like Charita Salanka, Kusal Mendis, these players will come good. And Pathum Nissanka has been in superb form. Hopefully, he carries on his good form. And I just hope that Sri Lanka will bring their A game out, especially in batting lineup.
Pathum Nissanka has been absolutely brilliant, but he'll be yearning for some support from the rest of his batting group. But let's turn our attention to the other side, Parvez, and seeing Afghanistan's struggles against spin, not just in the last game, but even in the tri-series earlier, especially in the final against Pakistan. Do you expect the same bowling attack to continue for Sri Lanka? Is there perhaps a case for some overs of Kamindu Mendis?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting call. Now, how I look at it. Now, yesterday, Mahidi Hassan of the Bangladeshi off spinner, he was left out purely on tactical reasons. They bought in Nasur Mohammed purely because there are so many right-handers in the top order, only Sadiqullah Atal being the left-hander. That was a master class or a master stroke, I should say, by Bangladesh to bring in Nasur Mohammed against a left-hand spinner for the right-hander. So similarly, Sri Lanka has the option of Dunit Lalage in the side. So maybe the think tank will be looking at how things panned out yesterday with Nasur Mohammed, the temptation probably will be there to bring in Dunit Lalage. So I think looking at how the surface has panned out as well as how the struggle against spinners for Afghanistan, I think probably the debate would be either Teekshana or Dunit Lalage. That's the only position that I can think of Sri Lanka will be thinking, unless it's a brand new pitch, has a lot of grass, how it was against Sri Lanka. Bangladesh game had plenty of bounce and pace. Then Sri Lanka might think of playing three seamers. So these are the things that Sri Lanka will be thinking of, and also looking at the tactical side of it. I mean, you spoke about the numbers, how Sri Lanka has to avoid the defeat if they are going to lose to Afghanistan. I think this is where it gets trickier. Because Sri Lanka likes to chase it down, a score, whereas Afghanistan likes to put a score and defend it later on. So that might play into Afghanistan's hand. But Sri Lanka just have to, as you correctly said, avoid a massive defeat and still should stick to what they're comfortable of, chasing down later on, in my opinion. On the other hand, Bangladesh yesterday, they took a ball call by winning the toss, batting first, straight away showing their intent. So will Sri Lanka be gutsy enough to do something similar? That's a question to be asked. But things how panned out with the due factor maybe later on coming, I think Sri Lanka will still stick to winning the toss, if they win the toss, to chase it down, and they back their batters to chase it down later on.
Right. Why don't you leave us with your choice of a matchup on either side which you think could have a big bearing on this contest?
I think with the new ball, Fazal Faruqi, that's the one matchup that I like to watch, with the two quality right-handing openers of Sri Lanka against Fazal Faruqi, who can swing the ball both ways. And in the middle overs, the spin trio, Noor, Gazamfar, Rashid Khan, all mystery, brilliant bowlers against the middle order of Sri Lanka, who is struggling. So this is the matchup that I'm looking forward to as well.
Okay, that's the setup done. We will leave it there. Parvez Maroof will be with us for this game, and he had his nerves from the Hong Kong finish, and we of course remember the nerves from the last Asia Cup group stage meeting between these two sides, where it was a net run rate affair, and goodness, that went down the wire. Let's see how this one pans out. Thank you so much, Parvez, for your time.
Likewise, thank you, Yash.
This was CMF by Nothing presents ESPN Cricinfo Timeout.
Best budget thrown out this year.
CMF Phone 2 Pro. Search now on Flipkart.